Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. In a few moments, I'm going to share my thoughts and feelings on the marriage of Steve and Noi from season 14 of Married at First Sight. Now, if you've been watching Married at First Sight this season, then I think it would be safe to say that you're probably either Team Steve or Team Noi. Even though Steve and Noi are one of the better couples to appear on the show since the New Orleans season. Nevertheless, Steve and Noi have encountered two, quote-unquote, serious conflicts throughout their time on the show. The first conflict was what people come to call Noodlegate, and in this conflict, Noi didn't know how to cook box noodles, and she left the home after Steve tried to give her some pointers on how to do it properly. And while Steve and Noi were able to get over that hiccup, the issues of finances, and by finances I mean Steve having a full-time 9-to-5 job, have essentially been present throughout the entire season. Noi explained that this was an issue because she wants a man who can prove that he can provide financially, and Noi also doesn't understand the concept of having a man that stays at home all day. Nevertheless, the issue of Steve's finances was one that divided a number of Married at First Sight fans everywhere, and for the purposes of this video, I'm going to share why I agree with Steve's approach to all of this madness. Ever since the first episode of this season aired, Steve has been dragged through the mud by many fans of the show. And some of the fans who side with Noi on the topic of Steve's finances are doing so because they don't believe in the concept of house husbands taking care of the home while the wife works and comes home tired. There were some fans who accused Steve of being a bum, a dusty, a freeloader, and any other demeaning name that you can call a man who doesn't prove that he can work hard to financially provide for his family. But on the flip side, there were also those fans out there who felt that Steve was a secret millionaire, and that he might have an endless trust fund, or he's rich because he won a frivolous lawsuit. Earlier in the season, I jokingly called Steve the Prince Hakeem reincarnated because I can honestly see Steve intentionally trying to hide his income from a woman because Steve yearns to be with someone who likes him for him and not for what he can provide. So let's unpack this all for a second. Throughout this season of the show, Steve has always shown that he is the more reasonable and logical of the two in the marriage. Steve has experience working in a lucrative field, and he has the opportunity to make money whenever he wants. Steve has shown that he's able to live within his means, and his idea of having a good time is essentially camping in the middle of nowhere or hitting the road, and getting into an adventure that way. That's usually pretty cheap if you don't factor in how much gas it takes to get from one destination to the next. And lastly, Steve has money saved in his bank account, which means he can afford to live the lifestyle that he currently has. Now, of course, we can debate whether Steve has a decent savings account or if his bankroll is on swole. But it is my opinion that a number of people that are Team Noi harbor some type of jealousy towards Steve. And let's keep it real for a moment. If you have the opportunity to stay home, roam the earth, or get into crazy adventures and not have to ever worry about money, you wouldn't take advantage of that opportunity? I know I would, at least when I was Steve's age. I think it's worth mentioning that Steve doesn't have any pets or kids of his own, so being that he's responsible for himself, I could see somebody like him not having to worry much about money. Noi, on the other hand, has a dog, and she likes to travel internationally, both which cost a great deal of money. And Noi is uncompromising when it comes to Steve having a job, discussing his finances with her, or having less than 3 children. I think if I was Steve and I was paired with somebody like Noi, I would definitely hesitate to share all of my business with her too, especially if we've only known each other for a month. Noi has a tendency to think and react emotionally. She has shown on several occasions that she can be petty and a brat sometimes. Steve is no fool, and a lot of guys can learn from him. Lastly, I want to point out the double standard in all of this. Some of the people who call Steve a dusty because he doesn't have a full-time job have absolutely no problem with women who are able to pay all their bills while working only a few hours a day on OnlyFans or at a strip club. Let's keep it real. There are fellow YouTubers out here as well as people on TikTok who get paid handsomely to dance, model, or eat food on camera. So if their gigs are good enough to pay all their bills, then I have no issue with what Steve is doing. And I know an argument can be made that Steve needs to have a full-time job because it shows Noi that he has a sense of financial stability and a willingness to help ease her worries. But job security, especially in certain fields, is not promised like it was back in the day. Furthermore, I'm willing to bet my life that if the majority of people could earn a living wage while working flexible hours instead of working the traditional 9 to 5, they would happily choose the flexible schedule. But those are my thoughts on Steve and Noi, and I would definitely like to hear what you think about Steve and Noi as well. Feel free to leave all your comments below in the comment section, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every comment. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.